Hello, everyone. Um, so, to answer the first part of this week's discussion, I think after reading the articles and watching that or listening to that little clip, I think overall I agree with the whole idea around silvopasturing. I think in theory it sounds like a good idea. Um, the whole idea of combining like forestry, foraging, and livestock all in one property, like it makes sense. I mean, it seems like a good idea. I think that it might pose some issues for people with maybe smaller farms or smaller property. I feel like the smaller your land, the harder it would be to accommodate and like logistically fit all of that in there. But I think if you have a large piece of land, large piece of property, then I think it could be beneficial. Um, the article did point out some problems. I think a few of the big ones were like the length of time, obviously, it takes for trees to grow and mature, and then also just the whole like management logistics surrounding juggling all those, you know, types of industry on one piece of land. Um, I don't think you can argue the need for more trees. Trees are obviously important and vital to our ecosystem and environment. So I think any idea where we plant more trees, I think is a good one. Um, the second question regarding like the temperature increase in cattle. Um, I think initially, the cattle industry might suffer a little bit as climate change gets worse. But I think with like how they pointed out with the cows in Colorado, like adapting to like the higher altitude, I think eventually, even if like our meat industry and cattle industry was devastated initially, I think after some time, I feel like they would bounce back. Obviously, I think they would adapt and kind of evolve to live and thrive in a warmer ecosystem, just like the cows in Colorado did. Obviously, this would affect the consumers because price would go up. If we lose a bunch of cattle and the demand is still the same or higher, and the supply is less, then obviously cost is going to go up and people are going to have to pay more. Lastly, for the concentrated animal feeding operations, at least in my opinion, I think the disadvantages outweigh the good. Obviously, they're able to point out, the cost is lower, so it's a more cost-effective way to meet the demand that we need for meat. However, they outcompete smaller local operations. It even said they produce more than 40 times the amount of biosolid waste than the U.S. population every year, which is crazy because, you know, 300 million people. I mean, 40 times that amount of waste is pretty crazy. Um, and then also all that waste obviously is going into the air and the water. So it pointed out that that has a huge impact on air pollution and aquatic ecosystems. So, at least in my opinion, I think that just the fact, all of those negative consequences, I think outweigh the cost effectiveness and, the ability to meet the supply and demand. So, that's my opinion.